Well, South Africa celebrates Arbor Week on September 1 annually, and the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs encourages the public to use this month to plant indigenous trees, as you've heard, as a practical and symbolic gesture of sustainable environmental management. The department encourages the public to be consciously aware of the importance of greening urban areas, townships and informal settlements, because trees are of great value as they provide soil protection, fruit shade and building materials. Now, let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Pumeza Nodada, Deputy Director General for Forestry at the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, the theme for this year is forests and sustainable production. You know, production and consumption. We've been accustomed year in and year out and encouraged to plant trees every Arbor month on a sustainable front. How sustainable is it?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having us. Trying to plant these trees can be sustainable if we collaborate with our stakeholders, as indicated in the clip before, where we try to collaborate with the communities, increase education so that people can understand why do we plant trees and how are trees important in our lives. Trees, in terms of sustainable production and consumption, we link that obviously to how trees provide food for our households, but also how they mitigate in terms of climate change and play a role in adaptation processes.
All right, Pumeza, given the importance of sustainable production and consumption, as you've said, what are you doing then as a department to assist communities, to ensure that this is attained? Because you do, as you've said, want their participation.
What we do as a department, we have education and awareness campaigns that we run throughout the year. Our year, usually we intensify obviously in September when we do Arbor month, but we do education and awareness through schools, through and collaboration with the other government departments, with our NGOs. We've now partnered with different CBOs through the Greening Forum, where we have sponsors like Total South Africa, where we have organizations and departments, where we all sit together, including the municipalities, because they have a huge role to play in making sure that whatever trees that we want to plant are planted in the right areas within those municipalities, and they also assist us in terms of monitoring that the trees that have been planted are taken care of.
Let's talk about deforestation now. We know that this is a global issue, which contributes to the degradation of our environment. How is the department doing in as far as tackling deforestation? And do you, in fact, have the capacity to do that?
In terms of deforestation, it is a huge challenge and a huge problem for not just the department, but for the country as a whole. Lands that are for forests, especially our natural forests, are very susceptible to degradation, because most of our natural forests are along the coast, where there's a competition of land in terms of people wanting to build resorts. And also there's a lot of land invasion that happens around the country that affects our forests. So what we do as a department is we do partner obviously with the police and the other government departments in terms of doing some joint operations for awareness, but also to increase compliance and also deal with enforcement. One thing that is important is to note that through the National Forest Act, all our natural forests are protected. So what we try and do is to make sure that we do educate communities in terms of understanding what the Act says, because the Act is specific that no natural tree or natural forest is allowed to be destroyed without a license. So we then, if there's any person who then applies through the Act, we will then go out and do a site visit and try and involve as many stakeholders as possible to make sure that all the angles are looked at. And if there is really a need for us to destroy such an area of a natural forest, and then see how we can then plant those same trees in a different area and also try and increase the area that we can plant through our rehabilitation project.
How would you encourage South Africans this time around to participate? And in the same vein, are you seeing South Africans really, doing their part in as far as where they are situated, whether it be in rural or urban areas, doing their part in as far as safeguarding the environment to the extent that is needed?
From our perspective, I don't think we can say it's enough what is being done, but we have seen an increase in terms of community participation where we are able to get communities calling us and informing us that they are seeing someone cutting trees here and there. So we see a lot of that happening. So the awareness campaigns are working, but I think we will need to strengthen and intensify them as much as possible so that all of us can start to be aware. So the issue of protection of our forest and protection of our environment can never.
All right, we seem to have lost Pumeza Nodada as we were wrapping up. All right.